please.
Thank you so much. And good morning, Richard. Thank you so much. And as you said, we're back. We're absolutely delighted to be back. And of course, opening this session, it's so very important we look at the global investor outlook and have you here to bring us up to date in terms of what's going on. So let's get right down to business. Now, a lot has been happening in the kingdom. Saudi Arabia is making headlines indeed around the world. And again, when we look at the FII Institute's focus, really, as he said, Richard made it clear, they're making an impact on humanity. Talk to me maybe about the biggest trends that you see really leading FII and the future prospects.
First of all, good morning, everyone. And we're really happy and proud to come back to Miami. It's a thriving city. I think we have a lot of similarity between Miami and Riyadh. They're both growing at rapid growth rates, and I'm hoping it will continue on doing so. So when we started back in 2017 with the FII, it was just a dream. And it was really a big dream. In fact, a lot of people thought we were delusional with this big dream to have one of the largest investment conferences around the world to be in Riyadh. But we realized it, and we're having more and more people from yourselves, the participants, the speakers, the sponsors, and also now the members. The growth that we're seeing in FII is really great. So we have a mission, and part of the things that we would like to focus on this year is basically the sustainability, the education, AI, and robotics, and also healthcare. So these are the main trends that we're thinking of for this year. So we invested in many companies through the FII in these themes, like Lilium, which provides electrical transportation solutions. Also, in the sustainability, we invested in a company called Interstellar Lab, and also the seafood company in the UAE, which is doing an amazing growth there, in addition to the education. So we have partnered up with many institutions like Stanford University, KAUST, Accenture, and also the UNICEF. And also in AI, we've done some investments like ASMED, which supporting the diagnosis of medical images used in over 1,000 healthcare centers in more than 40 countries.
I know you've been incredibly busy, and I've been to Saudi many times to witness all of that. But now you're going global, and you've been to many cities already. You've just been to Hong Kong. It's great to be back here in Miami again. Talk to me a little bit about, picking the host cities and creating those partnerships, how important that is, and who you're targeting now.
Just like what Richard said, we started in Riyadh, and we went to New York City, which is a great venue. I think the time of the conference wasn't the best. It was during the United Nations and many other conferences all at the same time. But then with MERS virus, we came here to Miami, and we find what we were looking for, which is the growth, the involvement, the engagement, the people, the speakers, the venue, everything that you're looking for in a place to get a conference such as the FII. Next, we're going to Brazil, and the reason why we went to Brazil because Latin America is not covered as much. And the potential over there is really big. We have so many friends who are covering LATAM, and they know the potential, and they've realized the returns, actually. So we want to go there to discuss different issues. Deforestation, one of the issues that we would like to see, the renewable energy and how effective we want to transform from fossil fuel to renewables. Then we're going to Nairobi, which is going to Africa for the first time. And I don't think we have a lot of coverage for Africa. And Africa, most of the growth in population in the world in the coming decades is going to be there. And the potential over there is really big. So we would like to focus and put Africa in the spotlight. That's why we want to go to Nairobi. After that, of course, to the big event in Riyadh. In Riyadh, what we'll be doing is to see what is the trends, what's the feedback, what's the engagement of people, and try to funnel it there and discuss it and see what works and what doesn't and move forward. And after that, we will go back again, hopefully to Hong Kong. It's not 100% sure, but would love to be either in Hong Kong or Korea or India to have a coverage. So it's what's interesting to the investors and what's interested for the investees.
And again, it's about covering, I think, global north and global south.
Absolutely.
Because we really have to look at what's happening. And we'll talk a little bit about, the energy transition in a minute. But let's have a look at the global trends, I suppose. Global investments, the movement of the global economy. Where do you see the big trends?
I mean, if you look at the growth rates that we've seen in GDPs, Saudi, for instance, had the largest growth rate in GDP back in 2022. I think it was 8.7%. And it's expected that the global GDP will grow 3.1 and 3.2 in the coming 2 years. Also, the inflation will be coming down, I think, to below 5%, about 4.9%. So if you see what's going on in the world, especially after the pandemic, I think we should be okay once we contain the inflation and start dropping it. For us at the PIF, our asset allocation is mainly 70+% is focused on domestically in Saudi Arabia, and less than 25% is international. Having said that, I mean, the allocation previously was almost 30% for international, but now it's dropping to, we're targeting anywhere between 20 to 25%, but the absolute number is increasing. So our deployment will continue internationally, but our focus right now and the projects that we have in Saudi Arabia. If you look at the pacing of our deployment of funds, it's about 40 to 50 billion dollars in annual basis, and we want to go until 2025 with the same pacing of deployment. And I think beyond 2025, this pacing will increase. Maybe most likely it's going to be like $70 billion in annual basis until we go to 2030. So we are going not on secondary market, not in brownfields, but we're going to greenfields. So we want to have an impact because remember, PIF is basically the main economic engine of the Vision 2030, which is a huge vision and I think the difference between this vision and any other vision that is presented by some other countries is we are achieving a lot of the KPIs ahead of schedule. One of the numbers that I really like to reference is the women in workplace. Our targets was I think it was like 20% by the year 2030. We achieved 30+% of women in workplace by the year 2020. So 10 years before the actual results. So if you see what PIF doing internationally, so about 40% of our deployment of the international investments is coming here to the U.S.
To the U.S., yeah. Making a big impact there.
Actually, it is. It's not only the investments, it's the investments and the procurement. So if you look at the PIF and its portfolio companies, they have invested and procured more than $100 billion in the U.S. economy from 2017 until the end of last year, 2023, which generated about $33 billion in GDP in the US and created more than 103,000 jobs in the US. We increased our pace from $2 billion per year to reach about $60 billion by the end of 2023. And the procurement, I mean, the latest one we have was Riyadh Air with Boeing, about 40.5 billion. And this would create more jobs in the US, will create more GDP contribution, and it's expected that we're going to grow around 5 times from now until the end of 2023 to get the total procurements and investment to $230 billion, which we projected that it will be producing more than 440,000 jobs in the US.
I mean, these are hugely impressive figures. And I think the lovely thing about it, it's a living, breathing, dynamic, the progress that's been made. You don't do this all alone. Talk to me about the opportunities for investors, international investors to come and actually partner with you.
I think it's great. That's why we're deploying, the $40 to $50 billion in Saudi. Of course, we want to do it for developmental purposes, but it has to be sustainable. And if it's not going to make any sense. So usually, we look at the impact of our investments from the GDP contribution, the job creation, and the local content, because that's one of the things that we want to grow. We have targets between 60 to 65% of whatever that we procure or invest in to have local content. But at the same time, we have a minimum threshold for the domestic investments of about 7.5% IRR. So this is like the bare minimum of what we are targeting. Some of our investments definitely will go in the double digits IRR. And if you look at the Saudi economy, the number that I mentioned, 8.7% GDP growth back in 2022. So it is really, the country is open for business. And it's open in business in different sectors. It's not only the infrastructure. I mean, recently, everyone is talking about AI. We are very well positioned to be an AI hub outside of the US for many reasons. Number one, and I don't know if it's a fortunate or an unfortunate thing, most of the people who are talking about the stack of the AI and the layers of it, they don't mention one thing, which is very important, energy.
Yes.
AI will be consume a lot of energy. And we are the global leader when it comes to the fossil fuel energy and when it comes to renewable energy. So I think we are very well positioned to be an AI hub for the energy. And most importantly is the political will. And the third thing is the funds to be deployed in this initiative. And the fourth thing, which is the most important, is the people. So I think we're very well positioned for that initiative.
We did mention the energy transition. I think we have to just focus on that just briefly. You know, as many of your global roles, you're also chairman of Aramco. So there's a lot going on in the energy transition. Just give us a quick run through in terms of where Saudi Arabia is. And I know you're doing so much work in that space.
Aramco, I've been the chairman since, I think, 2019, right before the IPO of Aramco, which was, at the time, the largest IPO in the history. And we reached the largest market cap until AI came in, and most of the companies started, surpassing our market cap. But if you look at Aramco, I mean, we are the greenest oil producer in the world. And unfortunately, not a lot of people know about this. I'm going to talk about two things. One is our current operations in the fossil fuel, and second thing in the renewable energy. So if you look at the barrel of oil that Aramco produces, it emits 10.5 kilograms of carbon dioxide, CO2. If you want to compare the same oil barrel to the industry, it's about 38 kilograms. So we're emitting almost somewhere like 25, 27% of what the other are doing. If the other oil and gas companies around the world adapt what Aramco is doing, I think we'll be reducing the emission by huge percentages. I think it's about 1 gigaton of CO2 emission can be reduced, which is, I think, equal to 1/3 of the annual carbon emission from residential and commercial sectors. So that's the first thing. We have about 12 R&D centers around the world. 3 of them are here in the US, and some in Saudi and other parts of the world. And we're looking into the energy transition. We're looking into carbon capture and sequestration. We're looking into going to the ICE, which is the internal combustion engines, and see how we can reduce the emission from Scope 3. We're looking into the synthetic fuels for both vehicles and airplanes. So we're working different fronts and the fossil fuel, but at the same time, we want to be the world leader when it comes to the blue hydrogen. We have targets in Saudi to get, as a country, at least 15% of the blue hydrogen of the world to be produced and manufactured in Saudi, and Aramco will have the lion's share of that production for a number of reasons. If you're going to do the blue hydrogen, you need to not only capture the carbon, but sequester the carbon. And the only way to do it is to use the old oil fields to do the sequestration. Not only the blue hydrogen that we're interested in both Aramco and PIF, but the green hydrogen too, in addition to the solar, which is one of our strongest points. So we brought down the prices of solar power to 1 cent, which is unprecedented anywhere else in the world. Now, with the higher interest rate, of course, it's going higher, but we sell below 2 cents per kilowatt hour, which is, as I said, unprecedented anywhere else in the world.
Indeed, and I see Paddy in the audience here, very happy looking at the figures there. Thank you so much for taking the time. Just before we go, we have 2 great days ahead of us. And, you know, when we talk about the positive impact on humanity that the FII will make the work you're doing at PIF, it's really, I feel it's about taking that big holistic view and making sure that you're looking at every sector. It's investment, it's health. I mean, what do you want us all to be looking at for the next 2 days?
Of course. I mean, in addition to the trends that I mentioned in sustainability, education, robotics, AI, I think AI is coming, and it's going to come in a big way. And I think the impact will be very positive once we have the right sets of regulations that will monitor, control, and enable the AI ecosystem. It's projected actually that the AI will contribute to about 14% growth in GDP. So that's one thing that I'm really excited about, and I think we should really focus into.
Indeed, and we're going to have a big AI summit, almost a mini summit later today. So you've got some great people here to talk about this. I really want to thank you for taking the time. Thank you for laying that out. A great way to start the day. So once again, thank you again so much. His Excellency Yasir Al-Rumayyan.
Thank you. Thank you again.